Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
So that he could be so
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
at that age.
Yeah, somebody can start pranam mantra.
Because
Mataji, may I?
Yes.
seeking an opportunity to fall in
Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakkaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayamrupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swarnapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishnapusthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I think we are in chapter 39.
39 Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
the honor of our devotion. These are ultimate honor. And the character of people are the ultimate honor. They are not devotion.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Shall I start?
Yes. Are you able to see it?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay.
Okay. Chapter 39, Ways of Meeting Krishna. When Krishna and his devotees meet, the meeting is technically called yoga, or linking up with the Lord. Such meetings between Krishna and his devotee can be divided into three classes, namely perfection, satisfaction, and steadiness. When the devotees meet Krishna with great eagerness, the state of meeting is called perfection. In the Krishna Karanamrita, Bilva Mangala Thakura describes how Krishna meets his devotees with peacock feather on his head, with Marakata jewels on his chest, and with his ever enchanting smile, his restless eyes, and very delicate body. In the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 38th chapter, verse 34, Sukadeva Goswami tells King Parikshit, "My dear king, as soon as Akrura the chariot driver saw Lord Krishna and his elder brother Balarama in Vrindavan, he immediately got down from the chariot, and being greatly afflicted by affection for the transcendental Lord, fell down upon his lotus feet to offer respectful obeisances." These are some of the instances of perfectional meeting with Krishna. When a devotee meets Krishna after long separation, the meeting is called satisfaction. In the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th chapter, verse 10, it is stated, that when Lord Krishna returned to his capital Dwarka, the inhabitants said, "Dear Lord, if you remain in foreign countries for so long, we shall certainly be bereft of seeing your smiling face. Upon observing your face, we, your eternal servitors, become greatly satisfied." Can you scroll down, Mataji? There are few words. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Can you scroll down? No, upward. Just a minute. Yeah. Return to wait. All the anxieties of our existence are immediately mitigated. If we cannot see you because you are long absent from Dwarka, then it will be impossible for us to live anymore. This is an instance for satisfaction in meeting Krishna after long separation. Krishna's personal servant Daruka, seeing Krishna at the door of Dwarka, forgot to offer him respect with folded hands. When a devotee is ultimately situated in association with Krishna, his position is called steadiness in devotional service. Can you scroll? This steady position in devotional service is explained in the book of Hamsaduta. It is described there how Akrura, who was considered by the gopis to be terror personified, would talk with Krishna about the activities of Kuru dynasty. A similar steady position was held by Uddhava, the disciple of Brihaspati. He would always massage the lotus feet of Krishna while kneeling down on the ground before him. When a devotee is engaged in the service of the Lord, he is said to have reached the attainment of yoga. The English equivalent of the word is linking up. So actually linking up with Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, begins with the devotee. When the devotee renders service unto him, devotees situated in the transcendental rasa of servitorship render their particular service whenever there is an opportunity. Sometimes they sit down in front of Krishna to receive orders. Some persons are reluctant to accept this level of devotional service as actual bhakti yoga. And in some of the Puranas, also this servitorship in devotional service to Krishna is not accepted as the actual bhakti yoga. But Srimad Bhagavatam has clearly stated that the servitor relationship with Krishna is actually the beginning of yoga realization. In the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd chapter, verse 32, it is stated that when devotees are engaged in the discharge of Bhakti Yoga, sometimes they cry from thinking of Krishna, sometimes they laugh, sometimes they become jubilant, and sometimes they talk in very uncommon ways. Sometimes they dance, sometimes they sing, sometimes they are actually engaged in the service of the Lord, and sometimes they sit down silently as if absorbed in trance. Similarly, in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 7, verse 34, Prahlad Maharaj says to his friends, "My dear friends, as soon as pure devotee of Lord Krishna hears the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, who is the eternal reservoir of pastime, and hear about his transcendental qualities, they become overpowered and with jubilance. Ecstatic symptoms are manifested in their body. They shed tears, talk falteringly, glorify the Lord in the loud voice, and chant and dance in ecstasy. These ecstasies are always there, but sometimes they overcome all limits and the symptoms become manifest to all. In the process of surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there are 6 items: to accept everything favorable for devotional service, to reject everything unfavorable for devotional service, to believe that Krishna will always give protection, to identify oneself with Krishna's devotee, always to feel inability without the help of Krishna, and always to think oneself inferior to Krishna, even though one may be full capacity to perform something on his own. When one is substantially convinced that he is always protected by Krishna in all circumstances, that feeling is called reverential devotion. Reverential devotion is executed in relation with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and with his other protected devotees. When Krishna was residing in Dwarka, some of the elderly members of Yadu family would occasionally put some important matter before him. At such time, Krishna would carefully give attention to those matters, and if there were some humorous topics mentioned, Krishna would immediately respond with a smiling face. Sometimes, when Krishna was executing his duties in the assembly, known as Sudharma, he would ask the elderly members for good advice. By such activities, he is manifest as the supreme spiritual master, the supreme executive head, the superior intelligence, and the supreme power, protector and maintainer. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, somebody can read this.
Can I start, Mataji?
Can I read?
Hare Krishna, Mataji, can I start?
Dikshit, you can start.
Yes, Mataji. Chapter 40. Reverential devotion of sons and other subordinates. True reverential devotion is exhibited by persons who think themselves subordinate to Krishna and by persons who think themselves sons of Krishna. The best examples of this subordination are Sarana, Gada, and Subhadra. They were all members of the Yadu dynasty and they always used to think themselves protected by Krishna. Similarly, Krishna's sons such as Pradyumna, Charudesna, and Samna felt the same way. Krishna had many sons in Dwaraka. He begot 10 sons by each of his 16,108 means, and all of these sons headed by Pradyumna, Charudeshna, and Samna used to think themselves always protected by Krishna. When Krishna's son dined with them, they would sometimes open their mouths for Krishna to feed them. Sometimes when Krishna would pat one of his sons, the son would sit on Krishna's lap. And while Krishna was blessing the son's head by smelling it, the others would shed tears thinking how many pious activities he must have performed in his previous life. Out of Krishna's many sons, Pradyumna, as son of Krishna's chief queen Rukmini, is considered the leader. Pradyumna's bodily features resemble Krishna exactly. Pure devotees of Krishna glorify Pradyumna because he is so fortunate like father, like son. There is a description in the Harivamsa of Pradyumna's activities when he kidnapped Prabhavati. Pradyumna addressed Prabhavati at that time said, "My dear Prabhavati, just look at the head of your family. Shri Krishna is Vishnu himself, the supreme driver of Garuda, and he is our supreme master. Because we have become so proud and confident of his protecting us, we sometimes do not even care about fighting with Tripurari, Lord Shiva." There are two kinds of devotees engaged in devotional service with awe and veneration: the Lord subordinates and his son. The servitors in the abode of Dwaraka always worship Krishna as the most respectable and revered personality of Godhead. They are captivated by Krishna because of his super excellent opulences. The members who always thought themselves protected by Krishna could readily convert their conviction into practical demonstration, because it was sometimes found that the sons of Krishna acted very unlawfully in various places but were nonetheless given full protection by Krishna and Balarama. Even Balarama, the elder brother of Krishna, sometimes unknowingly offered respect to him. Once when Krishna came before Lord Balarama, Krishna was anxious to offer his respect to his elder brother. But at that time, when Balarama's club was lowered down upon Krishna's lotus feet, in other words, the club in Balarama's hand offered its own respect to Krishna. These feelings of subordination, as explained above, are sometimes manifested by Anubhava. When demigods from the heavenly planets come to Krishna, all of Krishna's sons followed them. The Lord Brahma sprinkled water from his Kamandalu upon them. When the demigods came before Krishna, the sons, instead of sitting on golden chairs, sat down on the floor, which was covered with deer skin. Sometimes the behavior of Krishna's sons appears similar to behavior of his personal servants. For example, the sons used to offer their obeisances. They were silent, submissive, and gentle, and they were always ready to carry out Krishna's orders, even at the risk of life. When present before Krishna, they bowed down on the ground. They were very silent and steadily, and they used to restrain coughing and laughing before the Lord. Although they never discussed Krishna's pastime in conjugal love. In other words, devotees who are engaged in reverential devotional service should not discuss the conjugal love affairs of Krishna. No one should calm his eternal relationship with Krishna unless he is liberated. In the conditioned state of life, the devotees have to execute the prescribed duties as recommended in the codes of devotional service. When one is mature in devotional service and is realized soul, he can know his eternal relationship with Krishna. One should not artificially try to establish some relationship. In the premature stage, it is sometimes found that a lusty, conditioned person will artificially try to establish some relationship with Krishna in conjugal love. The result of this is that one becomes praktra sahajya, or one who takes everything very cheaply. Also, such persons may be very anxious to establish a relationship with Krishna in conjugal love. The conditioned life in the material world is just most abominable. A person who has actually established this relationship with Krishna can no longer act on the material plane, and his personal character cannot be criticized. When Cupid came on the occasion to visit Krishna, some devotee addressed him thus, "My dear Cupid, because you have been so fortunate as you have placed your eyesight on the lotus feet of Krishna. The drops of perspiration on your body have become frozen, and they resemble Kantaki fruits, a kind of small fruit found in thorny bushes. These are signs of ecstasy and veneration for the supreme personality of Godhead. When the princes of the Yadu dynasty heard the vibration of Krishna's Panchajanya conchil, the hairs of their bodies immediately stood up in the ecstatic jubilation. It seemed that the time that all the hairs on the bodies of the princes were dancing in ecstasy. In addition to jubilation, there are sometimes symptoms of disappointment. Pradyumna once addressed Samba with these words, "My dear Samba, you're such a glorified personality. I have seen that once you were playing on the ground. Your body became covered with dust, yet our father Lord Krishna still took up you on his lap. But I am so unfortunate that I could never get such love from our father." This statement is an example of disappointment in love. To regard Krishna as one's superior is called a reverential feeling, and when, in his addition to this, a devotee feels that Krishna is his protector, his transcendental love for Krishna is increased, and his combined feelings are called reverential devotion. When the steady reverential devotion increases, Mataji, can you scroll up? Increases further, it is called love of Godhead in reverential devotion. Attraction and affection are two prominent symptoms of this stage. In this reverential devotional attitude, Pradyumna never talked to his father in a loud voice. In fact, he never so much as unlocked the lips of his mouth, nor did he ever show his face filled with tears. He would always glance only at the lotus feet of his father. There is another example of steadily and fixed love for Krishna in the instant of Arjuna's informing him of the death of Arjuna's son, Abhimanyu, who was also a nephew of Krishna. Abhimanyu was the son of Subhadra, Krishna's younger sister. He was killed at the Battle of Kurukshetra by the combined efforts of all the commanders in King Duryodhana's army, namely Karna, Ashwatthama, Jayadratha, Bhishma, Kripacharya, and Dronacharya. In order to assure Krishna that there was no change of love on Subhadra's part, Arjuna informed him, "Although Abhimanyu was killed almost in your presence, Subhadra's love for you is not agitated at all, nor has it even slightly changed its original color." The affection that Krishna has for his devotees was expressed by him when he asked Pradyumna not to feel so bashful before him. He addressed Pradyumna thus, "My dear boy, just give up your feelings of inferiority and do not hang your neck. Just talk with me in a clear voice and do not shed tears. You may look straight at me, and you may place your hands on my body without any hesitation. There is no need of exhibiting so much reverence before your father." Pradyumna's attachment for Krishna was always exhibited by his action. Whenever he was ordered by his father to execute something, he would immediately execute the order, taking the task as a nectarine, even though it has been poisoned. Similarly, whenever he finds something to be disapproved by his father, he would immediately reject it as a poison, even though it may have been nectarine. Pradyumna's attachment and anxiety for Krishna was expressed when he said to his wife Prati, The enemy, Sambara, is already killed. Now I am very anxious to see my father, who is my spiritual master and who always carries in the conch shell known as Panchajanya. Pradyumna felt great separation from Krishna and he was absent from Dwaraka at the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He said, "Since my father has left Dwaraka, I do not take much pleasure in practicing fighting, nor am I interested in any kind of sporting pastimes. And what need is there to speak of these things? I do not even wish to stay at Dwaraka in the absence of my father." When Pradyumna came back after killing Sambasura and saw his father Krishna before him, he at once became so overjoyed that he himself could not understand his joy on that occasion. This is an instance of success and separation. A similar satisfaction was observed when Krishna returned from the battlefield of Kurukshetra to his home at Dwaraka. All of his sons were overjoyed that out of ecstasy they repeatedly made many mistakes. These mistakes were a sign of complete satisfaction. Every day, Pradyumna looked over Krishna's lotus feet with tears in his eyes. These signs of reverential devotion on the part of Pradyumna may be described in the same way they have been described in the case of other devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sorry. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yeah, sorry.
Hare Krishna Mataji, should I read the next chapter?
Yes.
Okay.
Extremely sorry. I am a
Okay.
bit busy doing two things at a time. That is the
Uh,
reason why. Yeah.
Okay, Hare Krishna. So one of our
Fraternal
questions here.
devotion. Yeah.
Paternal devotion. When a devotee is permanently situated in devotional service and by different symptoms of ecstasy, he has developed and matured a fraternal mellow of flavor in relationship with the personality of Godhead. This feeling is called fraternal love of God. The impetus for such fraternal love of God is God Himself. When one is liberated and discovers his eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord, the Lord Himself becomes the impetus for increasing fraternal love. The eternal associates of the Lord in Vrindavana have described this as follows. The Lord Hari, whose bodily hue is like the Indranila jewel, whose smiling is as beautiful as the kunda flower, whose silk dress is as yellow as golden autumn for foliage, whose chest is beautified with garlands of flowers, and who is always playing upon his flute. His enemy of the Aga demon is always attracting our hearts by wandering about Vrindavana. There are similar statements of fraternal love expressed outside the jurisdiction of Vrindavana when the sons of Pandu, headed by Maharaja Yudhishthir, saw Krishna in his four-handed form on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, holding his conch shell, disc, club, and lotus flower, then completely forgot himself and became merged in an ocean of nectarian happiness. This is how the sons of Pandu, King Yudhishthira, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, Sahadeva were all caught up in the love for Krishna. Sometimes the different names, forms, paraphernalia, and transcendental qualities provoke fraternal love. For instance, Krishna's nice dress, his strongly built body, the all auspicious symptoms on his body, his knowledge of different languages, his learned teachings in Bhagavad Gita, his uncommon genius in all fields of endeavor, his exhibition of expert knowledge, his mercy, his chivalry, his behavior as a conjugal lover, his intelligence, his forgiveness, his attraction for all kinds of men, his opulence, and his happiness all provoke fraternal love. The impetus of fraternal love upon seeing the associates of Krishna in Vrindavana is also very natural, for the personal bodily features or qualities and the dress are all equal to Krishna. So these associates are always happy in their service to Krishna, and they are generally known as Vyasyas, or friends of the same age. The Vyasyas are fully confident of the protection of by Krishna. Devotees sometimes pray, "Let us offer our respectful obeisances under the Vyasas of Krishna, who are firmly convinced of Krishna's friendship and protection. His devotion to Krishna is ever fixed, they are fearless, and on a level equal with Krishna, they discharge their transcendental loving devotional service." Such eternal Vyasyas are also found beyond the jurisdiction of Vrindavana in places such as Dwarka, Hastinapura. Except for Vrindavana, all the places of Krishna's pastimes are called Puras, towns. Mathura and Hastinapura, the capitals of Kurus, are both Puras. Uh, Personalities like Arjuna, Bhima, Draupadi, Shridhama, Brahmana are counted among Krishna's fraternal devotees in the Puranas. How the sons of Pandus, the Pandavas, enjoy Krishna's association is described as follows. When Sri Krishna arrived in Indraprastha, the capital of Kurus, Maharaja Yudhishthira immediately came out to smell the flavor of Krishna's head. And it is the Vedic custom that a superior smells the head of his subordinates, where the subordinates offer respect to the superior by touching his feet. Similarly, Arjuna and Bhima embraced Krishna with great jubilation, and the two younger brothers, namely Nakula and Sahadeva, touched the lotus feet of Krishna with tears in their eyes and offered their respects. In this way, all the five Pandava brothers enjoy the fraternal relationship of Krishna in transcendental mellow. Of the five Pandavas, Arjuna is the most intimately connected with Krishna. He has a nice bow called Gandiva in his hand. His thighs are compared to the trunks of elephants, and his eyes are always reddish. When Krishna and Arjuna are together on a chariot, they become celestial beauties, pleasing the eyes of everyone. It is said that once Arjuna, once, one second, okay. When Arjuna and okay, it is said that once Arjuna was lying on his bed with his head upon Krishna's lap and was talking and joking with Krishna in great relaxation, enjoying Krishna's company with smiling and great satisfaction. As far as the Vyasas, the friends of Vrindavana, are concerned, they become greatly distressed when they cannot see Krishna even for a moment. This is the following prayer by a devotee for the Vyasyas in Vrindavana. All glories to Krishna's Vyasyas, who are just like Krishna in their age, qualities, pastimes, dress, beauty. They are all accustomed to playing on their flute made of palm leaves, and they all have buffalo horn bugles ornamented like Krishna's with jewels like Indranila and with gold and crystal and coral, sorry. They're always jubilant like Krishna. May these glorious companions of Krishna always protect us. The Vyasyas in Vrindavana are in such intimate friendship with Krishna that sometimes they think themselves as good as Krishna. Here is an instance of such friendly feeling when Krishna was holding up Govardhana hill with his left hand. The Vyasas said, "Dear friend, you have been standing for the last 7 days and nights without any rest. This is very troublesome for us because we see that you have undertaken a severely laborious task. We think, therefore, that you need not continue to stand in that way, holding the hill. You can just transfer it onto Sudama's hand. We are very much aggrieved to see you in this position." If you think that Sudama is not able to support Govardhana hill, then at least you should change hands. Instead of supporting it with your left hand, please transfer to your right hand so that we can give your left hand a massage. This is an instance of intimacy showing how much the Vyas considered themselves to be equal to Krishna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto 12th chapter verse 11, Sukadeva Goswami tells King Parikshit, my dear king, Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead for the learned transcendentalist. He is the supreme happiness for all impersonalists. He is the supreme worshipable deity for the devotee, and he is just like an ordinary boy to one who is under the spell of Maya. And just imagine these cowherd boys are now playing with the supreme person as though they were on an equal level. By this, anyone can understand that these boys must have accumulated heaps of the results of pious activities to enable them to associate with the supreme personality of Godhead in such intimate relationship. This is a description of Krishna's feeling for his Vyasyas in Vrindavana. He once said to Balarama, my dear brother, when my companions were being devoured by Aghasura, hot tears poured down from my eyes as they were washing my cheeks. My elder brother, for at least one moment, I completely lost myself. When within Gokula, Krishna's Vyasas are generally divided into four groups: the well-wishers, friends, confidential friends, and intimate friends. Krishna's well-wisher friends a little older than Krishna, and they have paternal affection for him because of their being older than Krishna. They always try to protect him from any harm. As such, they sometimes bear weapons so that they can chastise any mischievous person who want to harm Krishna. Counted among the well-wisher friends are Subhadra, Mandali Bhadra, Bhadravardhana, Govata, Yaksha, Indrabhata, Bhadrangga, Virabhadra, Mahaguna, Vijaya, and Balabhadra. They are older than Krishna and are always thinking of his welfare, not to be confused with Krishna's sister Subhadra. One of the elderly friends said, my dear Mandali Bhadra, why are you wielding a shining sword as though you were running towards Aritasura to kill him? My dear Baladeva, why are you unnecessarily bearing the heavy plough? My dear Vijaya, don't be unnecessarily agitated. My dear Bhadravardhana, there is no need to make these threatening motions. If you will all look more closely, you will see that it is only a thunder cloud upon Govardhana hill. It is not that Aritasura in the shape of a bull as you have imagined. These older, well-wishing friends of Krishna had imagined a large cloud to be Aritasura, appearing in the shape of a huge bull. In the midst of their excitement, one of them ascertained that it was only a cloud on Govardhana hill. He therefore informed the others not to take the trouble of worrying about Krishna because there was no present danger from Aritasura.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Somebody else can read. Hare Krishna, somebody else can read.
Yeah, Mataji. Where she has left Aldasura.
Among the well-wisher friends,
Yeah,
Mandali
among the
Bhadra.
well-wishers, Mandala Bhadra and Balbhadra are the chief, and Madal Bandra is described as follow. His completion is yellowish, and his dress is very attractive. He always carries a stick of various colors. He wears a peacock feather on his head and always looks very beautiful. Mandala Bhadra's attitude is revealed in the statement, my dear friend, Our beloved Krishna is now very tired from working with the cows in the pasturing grounds and from traveling all over the forest. I can see that he is very fatigued. Let me massage his head silently. Well, he is taking rest in his house, and you, Subagla, you just massage his thigh. One devotee described the personal beauty of Baldeva as follows. Let me take shelter to the lotus feet of Balrama, whose beauty is enhanced by the earrings touching his cheeks. Let me take his face is decorated with tilaka made from kasturi musk, and his broad chest is decorated with a garland of gunja, that is small conch shell. His complexion is as white as an autumn cloud. He wears garments of blue color, and his voice is very grave. His arms are very long, touching his thigh, and he has shown his great strength by killing the plumb demon. Let me take shelter of his chivalric Balram. Balram and Baldeva are the different names for the same expansion of Krishna. He is Krishna's elder brother. Baldeva affection for Krishna is illustrated in the statement of to Subala. My dear friend, please inform Krishna not to go to Kalia Lake today. Today is his birthday, so I wish to go along with Mother Yashoda to bath him. Tell me he shouldn't leave the house today. This shows how Balrama, Krishna's elder brother, took care of Krishna with paternal love within the scope of fraternal affection. Friends who are younger than Krishna, who are always attached to him and who give him all kinds of service are called ordinary friends or simply friends. Such ordinary friends are called sakas, and the name of some sakas are Vaishnav, Vaishbaba, Ojasvi, Devpras, Varutapa, Maranda, Kusum, Pita, Maniband, and Karandama. All of these sakas to Krishna's place and wait at the door to see Krishna's and to accompany him to the pasturing grounds. In the meantime, Krishna will be dressed by Mother Yashoda, and when she will see a boy standing at the door, she will call him, well, Vashala, you are standing there, come here. So, with the permission of Mother Yashoda, he will immediately enter the house. And while Mother Yashoda was dressing Krishna, he will try to help put on Krishna's ankle bells, and Krishna will jointly strike him with his flute. The Mother Yashoda will call Krishna, what is this? Why are you teasing your friend? And Krishna will laugh, and his friend will also laugh. And there are some of these activities of the Krishna Sakhas. Sometimes the Sakas will take care of the cows who were going thicker and thicker. They will tell Krishna, your cows were going off here and there, and Krishna will thank them. Sometimes, when Krishna and his Sakas went to the pasturing grounds, Kamsa would send a demon to kill Krishna, and therefore, almost every day there was a fight with different kind of demon. After fighting with the demon, Krishna will feel fatigue and his hairs on his head will be scattered, and his sakas will immediately come and try to relieve him in different ways. Some friends will ways. Excuse me, Mataji.
Yes, what happened?
Yeah, someone can read, please.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody else can take a lead.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Saujanya, yes.
My dear Vishala, please take this fan of lotus leaves and fan Krishna so that he may feel some comfort. Varutapa, you just brush the scattered hairs on the Krishna's head which have fallen upon his face. Rishabha, don't talk unnecessarily. Immediately massage Krishna's body. His arms have become tired from fighting and wrestling with the demon. Oh, just see how our friend Krishna has become tired. There are some examples of the treatment given to Krishna by the Sakas. One of the Sakas, known as Devaprastha, is described as follows. He is very strong, a ready scholar, and is very expert in playing ball. He wears a white dress and he ties his hair into a bunch with a rope. Whenever there is a fight between Krishna and the demons, Devaprastha is the first to help, and he fights just like an elephant. One of the gopis once said to her friend, my dear beautiful friend, when Krishna, the son of Maharaj Nanda, was taking rest within the cave of a hill, he was keeping his head on the arms of Sri Dama, and he was putting his left hand on Dama's chest. Taking this opportunity, Devaprastha, out of his strong affection for Krishna, immediately began to massage his legs. Such are the activities of Krishna's friends out on the pasturing grounds. The more confidential friends are called Priyasakas, and are almost Krishna's age. Because of their very confidential friendship, their behavior is only on the basis of pure friendship. The behavior of other friends is on the ground of parental love or servitude, but the basic principle of the confidential friends is simply friendship on an equal level. Some confidential friends are as follows: Sridama, Sudama, Dama, Vasudama, Kinkini, Stoka Krishna, Amshu, Bhadrasena, Vilasi, Pundarika, Vitanka, Kalanvika. By their various activities and different pastimes, all of these friends used to give transcendental pleasure to Krishna. The behavior of these confidential friends is described by a friend of Radharani who told Radharani, "My dear graceful Radharani, your intimate friend Krishna is also served by his intimate boyfriends. Some of them out jokes with him in mild voices and please him very much by this. For example, Krishna had one Brahmana friend whose name was Madhumangala. This boy would joke by playing the part of a greedy Brahmana. Whenever the friends ate, he would eat more than all others, especially laddus, of which he was very fond. Then, after eating more laddus than anyone else, Madhumangala would still not be satisfied, and then he would say to Krishna, "If you give me one more laddu, then I shall be pleased to give you my blessings, so that your friend Radharani will be very much pleased with you." The Brahmanas are supposed to give blessings to the Vaishyas, farming and the merchant caste. And Krishna presented himself as the son of Maharaja Nanda, a Vaishya, so the Brahmana boy was right in giving blessings to Krishna. The Krishna was very pleased by his friend's blessings, and he would supply him with more and more laddus. Sometimes a confidential friend would come before Krishna and embrace him with great affection and love. Another friend would then come up from the rear and cover Krishna's eyes with his hands. Krishna would always feel very happy by such dealings with his confidential friends. Out of all these confidential friends, Sridama is considered to be the chief. Sridama used to put on a yellow colored dress. He would carry a buffalo horn, and his turban was of reddish copper color. His bodily complexion was blackish, and around his neck there was a nice garland. He would always challenge Krishna in joking friendship. Let us pray to Sridama to bestow his mercy upon us. Sometimes Sridama used to address Krishna, "Oh, you are so cruel that you left us alone on the bank of the Yamuna, and we were all mad from not seeing you there. Now it is our great fortune that we are able to see you here. If you want to pacify us, you must embrace each one of us with your arms. But believe me, my dear friend, a moment's absence from you creates great havoc, not only for us but also for the cows. Everything becomes disarranged and we become mad after you." There are other friends who are still more confidential. They are called Priyanarma or intimate friends. Counted among the Priyanarma friends are Subala, Arjuna, Gandharva, Vasanta, and Ujjvala. There was talk among the friends of Radharani, the gopis, about these most intimate friends. One gopi addressed Radharani thus: "My dear Kisangi, delicate one, just see how Subala is whispering your message into Krishna's ear, how he is delivering the confidential letter of Shyamadasi silently into Krishna's hand, how he is delivering the betel nuts prepared by Palika into Krishna's mouth, and how he is decorating Krishna with the garland prepared by Taraka. Did you know, my dear friend, that all these most intimate friends of Krishna are always engaged in his service in this way? Out of many intimate Priyanarmas, Subala and Ujjvala are considered to be the most prominent. Subala's body is described as follows: his complexion is just like the molten gold. He is very, very dear to Krishna. He always had a garland around his neck and he wears yellow clothing. His eyes are just like the lotus flower petals, and he is so intelligent that by his talking and his moral instructions, all other friends take the highest pleasure. Let us all offer our respectful obeisances unto Krishna's friend Subala. The degree of intimacy shared by Krishna and Subala can be understood by the fact that the talks between them were so confidential that no one else could understand what they were saying. The description of Ujjvala, another intimate friend, is given as follows: Ujjvala always wears some garment of orange color, and the movements of his eyes are always very restless. He likes to decorate himself with all kinds of flowers. His bodily hue is almost like Krishna's, and on his neck there is always a necklace of pearls. He is always very dear to Krishna. Let us all worship Ujjvala, the most intimate friend of Krishna. About the confidential service of Ujjvala, this statement is to be found addressed by Radharani to one of her friends. "My dear friend, it is impossible for me to keep my prestige. I wanted to avoid talking to Krishna anymore, but just see. There again is his friend Ujjvala coming to me with his canvassing work. His entities are so powerful that it is very difficult for a gopi to resist her love for Krishna, even though she may be very bashful, devoted to her family duties, and most faithful to her husband." The following is a statement by Ujjvala showing his jubilant nature. "My dear Krishna, O killer of Aghasura, you have extended your loving affair so much that you can be compared to the great ocean, which is without limitations. At the same time, the young girls of the world, who are all searching after the perfect lover, have become just like rivers running into this ocean. Under the circumstances, all these rivers of young girls may try to divert their courses to some other place, but at the end they must come unto you. Among the groups of different friends of Krishna, some are well known from various scriptures, and some are well known by popular tradition.
Yes.
There are three divisions among.
Oh, I think it went into different page, no?
No, Mataji, it was
Mataji,
continued.
get the previous page. You have
Yeah.
to turn on the next one.
Okay.
Hmm. Yeah. Yes, ma.
From where, Mataji? Okay. Among the different groups of friends of Krishna, some are well known from various scriptures and some are well known by popular tradition. There are three divisions among Krishna's friends. Some are eternally in friendship with Krishna, some are elevated demigods, and some are perfected devotees. In all of these groups, there are some who by nature are fixed in Krishna's service and are always engaged in giving counsel. Some of them are very fond of joking and naturally cause Krishna to smile by their words. Some of them are by nature very simple, and by their simplicity they please Lord Krishna. Some of them create wonderful situations by their activities, apparently against Krishna. Some of them are very talkative, always arguing with Krishna and creating a debating atmosphere. And some of them are very gentle and give pleasure to Krishna by their sweet words. All of these friends are very intimate with Krishna and they show expertise in their different activities. Their aim always being to please Krishna. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Fraternal loving affairs. This is still more intimate friends, I think.
Hare Krishna Mataji, may I continue?
Yes.
I continue. Just leaving between.
Yes, Vaibhav. Okay.
Fraternal love
Can be after.
affairs.
Yeah.
Fraternal love affairs. Krishna is his beauty, his sparkle, his flute, his conch shell, and his pleasing attitude all
Vaibhav, I
provoke
think
friendship. His excess exhibited surrounding to be prince. Yeah,
Vaibhav, your
Mataji.
internet is stable, I think. Unstable or what? Your voice is breaking.
Mataji, not so good. That's why I'm not been able to. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, we are able to hear you, but the voice is getting paused in
Crashing.
between. Yeah.
Okay. So sometimes by pretending. Now it's clear, Mataji.
Yeah, it is okay now.
So pretending to be a royal prince or even the supreme personality of Godhead also give impetus to devotees, developing love for Krishna in friendship. Learned scholars have divided Krishna into the age up to 5 years called and the age from the 7th year called Paganda and the age from the 11th from while Krishna is spending his days as a cowherd boy, he is at the Kumara and the Paganda age. In the Kishora age, when the Krishna appeared in Gokula, he acted as a cowherd boy. And then when he was 16, he went to Mathura to kill Kamsa. The the Kamandra age is just for just reciprocating the love of child in the 10th canto, 13th chapter, verse 11th of Srimad Bhagavatam. Sukadeva Goswami tells King Parikshit, though Lord Krishna is a supreme enjoyer and the beneficiary of all kinds of sacrificial ceremonies, he still used to eat with his coward boyfriends. This is because at the time he accepted the pastime of not keeping his flute and his on the right and along with his cane. In the left hand, he would hold his rice piece with your fingers, Tulu, the king of fruits. When he would thus friends, it would appear that he was the holy of heart and that the friend surrounded by joking among themselves.
Hare Krishna, Vaibhav.
Struck with only the same.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hare Krishna, Vaibhav. Yeah,
Yeah,
Dikshit will
Mataji.
continue. There is a lag in your speech, you know.
Okay, Mataji.
Yeah. Dikshit, you
No
can continue
problem.
now.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
From Krishna's Pavaganda age only, right, Mataji?
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Krishna's Paganda age can be further divided into three periods, namely the beginning, the middle, and then in the beginning of the Paganda age, there's a very nice reddish luster on his lips. His abdomen is very thin and his necks are circled like those on a conch shell. Sometimes some outside visitors would return to Vrindavana to see Krishna and upon seeing him again would exclaim, "My dear Mukunda, your beauty is gradually increasing, just like the leaf on a banyan tree. My dear lotus-eyed one, your neck is gradually manifesting circles like those of the conch shell. And in the shining moonlight, your teeth and cheeks are competing with the Padmarga jewels, the beautiful arrangement. I'm sure that your beautiful body development is now giving much pleasure to your friends." At this age, Krishna was garlanded with various kinds of flower. He used to put on a silk dress colored with various kinds of dye. Such beautiful decorations are considered cosmics for Krishna. Krishna would wear this just when he used to go into the forest to tend the cows. Sometimes he would wrestle there with his different friends, and sometimes they would dance all together in the forest. There are some of the specific activities of the Vakanda age. The court friends of Krishna were so happy in his company that they were expressed their transcendental feelings within themselves thus. "Dear Krishna, you're always busy tending the cows that are scattered all over beautiful Vrindavana. You have a beautiful garland, a small conch shell, a peacock feather on your turban, yellow colored silk cloth, decoration of Karnikara flowers on your ears, and a Mallika flower garland on your chest, appearing so beautiful when you pretend, just like an actor, to be fighting with us. You give us unlimited transcendental bliss." When Krishna is more grown up in the middle age of Poganda, his nails become finely sharp and his chubby cheeks become lustrous and round. On the two sides of his waist above his belt, there are three distinct lines of folded skin called Trivali. The coward boyfriends of Krishna felt very proud of their association with them at that time. Tip of his nose defeated the beauty of sesame flowers. The luster of his cheeks defeated the glow of pearls, and the two sides of his body were equally beautiful. In this age, Krishna wore a silk dress that glittered like lightning. His head was decorated with a silk turban covered with gold lace, and in his hand he carried a stick about 56 inches long. This Seeing this exceedingly beautiful dress of Krishna, one devotee addressed his friend in this manner: "My dear Lord, just look at Krishna, how he's carrying in his hand a stick with a bound up and down with golden rings. How his turban with gold lace is showing such a beautiful luster, and how his dress is giving his friends the highest transcendental pleasure." The specific pastime on this period took place in the forest known as Bandira Vana. The Bhandira Vana, along with 11 other vanas of forest, is still existing in Vrindavan area, and devotees who circumambulate the whole area of Vrindavana can know the beauty of these forests even today. At the end of Krishna's Poganda age, Krishna's hair sometimes hang down on his lips and sometimes it becomes scattered. In this age, his two shoulders become higher and broader, and his face is always decorated with marks of tilaka. When his beautiful hair scatters over his shoulders, it appears to be a goodness of fortune embracing him, and this embracing is highly relished by his friends. Suvala once addressed him in this way: "My dear Keshava, your round turban, the lotus flower in your hand, the vertical mass of tilaka on your forehead, your kunkuma flavored mask, and all of your beautiful bodily features are defeating me today. Although I'm usually stronger than you or any of our friends. Since this is so, I don't know how these features of your body can fail to defeat the pride of all the young girls of Vrindavana. When I am so defeated by this beauty, what chance is there for those who are naturally very simple and flexible?" At this age, Krishna took pleasure in whispering into the ears of his friends, and the subject of his talks was the beauty of the gopis who were just tiring before them. Suvala once addressed Krishna as, "My dear Krishna, you are very cunning. You can understand the thoughts of others. Therefore, I am whispering within your ear that all of these five gopis who are most beautiful have been attracted by your dress. And I believe that Cupid has entrusted them with the responsibility of conquering you." In other words, the beauty of the gopis were capable of conquering Krishna, although Krishna is the conqueror of all universe. The symptoms of the Kaishora age have already been described, and it is at this age that devotees generally most appreciate Krishna. Krishna with Radharani is worshipped as Kishora Kishori. Krishna does not increase his age beyond his form of Kaishora, and it is confirmed to the Brahma Samhita that although he is the oldest personality and has innumerable different forms, originally form is always youthful. In the pictures of Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, we can see that he is youthful, although at that time he was old enough to have sons, grandsons, and great grandsons. The coward boyfriends of Krishna once said, "Dear Krishna, you need not decorate your body with so many ornaments. Your transcendental features are themselves so beautiful that you do not require any ornamentation." At this age, whenever Krishna begins to vibrate his flute early in the morning, all of his friends immediately get up from the bed and just join him, going to the pasturing grounds. One of the friends once said, "My dear coward friends, the sound of Krishna's flute from above the Govardhana hill is telling us that we need not go search him on the bank of Yamuna." Parvati, the wife of Lord Shiva, told her husband, "My dear Panchamukha, five face, look at the Pandavas. After hearing the sound of Krishna's conch shell, known as Panchajanya, they were regained their strength and just like lions." At this age, Krishna once dressed himself up exactly like Radharani just to create fun among his friends. He put on golden earrings, and because he was blackish, he smeared to pulp of kunkuma all over his body in order to become as fair as she. By seeing this dress, Krishna's friend Subala became very astonished. Krishna played with his intimate friends, sometimes by fighting or wrestling with their arms, sometimes by playing ball, and sometimes by playing chess. Sometimes they carried one another on their shoulders, and sometimes they exhibited their expertness at whirling logs. And the court friends used to please Krishna by sitting together with him on conches or on swings, by lying together on their beds, by joking together, and by swimming in the pool. All these activities are called Anubhava. Whenever all the friends would resemble in the company of Krishna, they would immediately engage in all of these functions, especially in dancing together. Regarding their wrestling, one friend once asked Krishna, "My dear friend, you're very proudly wandering among your friends trying to exhibit your arms as very strong. Is it that you are envious of me? I know that you cannot defeat me in wrestling, and I also know that you are sitting idly for a long time because you were hopeless of defeating me." All the friends were very daring and would risk any difficulty because they were confident that Krishna would help him to be victorious in all adventures. They used to sit together and advise one another what to do, sometimes including one another to be engaged in welfare work. Sometimes they would offer betel nuts to one another, decorate one another's faces with tilaka or smear pulp of chandana or another's bodies. Sometimes, for the sake of amusement, they used to decorate their faces in strange ways. Another business of the friends was that each of them wanted to defeat Krishna. Sometimes they used to snatch his clothing or snatch away the flowers from his son. Sometimes one would try to induce another to decorate his body for him. And failing this, they were always ready to fight, challenging one another to combat in wrestling. These were some of the general activities of Krishna and his friends. Another important pastime of the friend of Krishna was that they served as messengers and form of the gopis. They introduced the gopis to Krishna and canvassed for Krishna. When the gopis were in disagreement with Krishna, these friends would support Krishna's side in his presence. But when Krishna was not present, they would support the side of gopis. In this way, sometimes supporting one side, sometimes the other, they would talk very privately with much whispering in the ears. Although none of the business was very serious, the servants of Krishna were sometimes engaged in collecting flowers, decorating his body with valuable ornaments, and drinkless dancing before him, singing, helping him herd of the cows, massaging his body, preparing for flowers of garland, and sometimes fanning his body. These were some of the primary duties of the servants of Krishna. The friends and servants of Krishna were combined together in serving him. All of the activities were known as Anubhava. When Krishna came out from the Yamuna after casting the Kaliya Naga, Sridama wanted to embrace him first, but he could not raise his arms because of his great feeling of respect. When Krishna used to play on his flute, the vibration appeared just like the roaring of clouds in the sky during the constellation of Swati. According to the Vedic astronomical calculation, if there is rain during the constellation of the Swati star, any rain falling on the sea will produce pearls, and the rain falling on the serpent will produce jewels. Similarly, when Krishna's flute roared like a thunder cloud under the Swati constellation, the resulting perspiration on Sridama's body appeared to be just like pearls. When Krishna and Subala were embracing one another, Srimati Radharani became very envious and hiding her hot temperature, she said, "My dear Subala, you're very fortunate because even in the presence of superiors, and even
You and Krishna have no hesitation in putting your arms around each other's shoulders.
yes, Mataji, while you're scrolling, I just
Yeah.
Mataji, can you scroll up a bit? A bit. Yes, Mataji. When Krishna and Subala were embracing one another, Srimati Radharani became a little envious and hiding her hot temperament. She said, "My dear Subala, you're very fortunate because even in the presence of superiors, you and Krishna have no hesitation in putting your arms on each other's shoulders. I think it must be admitted that in your previous lives, you have succeeded in many kinds of austerities. The idea is that although Radharani was accustomed to put her arms on Krishna's shoulders, it was not possible for her to do such thing in the presence of her superiors. When Subala could not do so freely, Radharani therefore praised his good fortune. When Krishna entered the lake of Khalya, his intimate friends became so perturbed that their bodily colors faded and they all produced horrible gurgling sounds. At that time, all of them fell down on the ground as if unconscious. Similarly, when they were in a forest where all of Krishna's men neglected their own protection and surrounded Krishna on all sides of protect him from the flames. This behavior of friends towards Krishna is described by thoughtful poets as Vyabhichari. In Vyabhichari, ecstasy love for Krishna, there is sometimes madness, dexterity, fear, laziness, jubilation, pride, dizziness, meditation, disease, forgetfulness, and humbleness. These are some of the common symptoms in the stage of Vyabhichari, ecstatic love for Krishna. When there are dealings between Krishna and his friends that are completely devoid of any feelings of respect and they all treat one another on equal level, such ecstatic love and friendship is called sthai. When one is situated in this confidential, friendly relationship with Krishna, one shows symptoms of love such as attraction, affection, affinity, and attachment. An example of sthai was exhibited when Arjuna told Akrura, "My dear son of Gandhini, please ask Krishna when I shall be able to embrace him in my arms." When there is full knowledge in Krishna's superiority and yet in dealings with him or friendly terms, respectfulness is completely absent. That stage is called affection. There is one brilliant example of this affection when the demigods headed by Lord Shiva were offering respectful praise to Krishna, describing the glorious opulences of the Lord. Arjuna stood before him with the sand on his shoulders and brushed the dust from his peacock feather. This Arjuna living in Vrindavana in different form of the friend of the same name to whom Bhagavad Gita was spoken. When the Pandavas were banished by Duryodhana and forced to live incognito the forest, no one could not trace out where they were staying. At that time, the great sage Narada met Lord Krishna said, "My dear Mukunda, although you are supreme personality of Godhead, all the powerful person, by making friendship with you, have become this the Pandavas have become bereft of their legitimate right to the kingdom of the world. And moreover, they are now living in the forest incognito. Sometimes they must work as ordinary laborers in someone else's house. These symptoms appear to be very inauspicious materially, but the beauty is that the Pandavas have not lost their faith and love for you in spite of all these tribulations. In fact, they are always thinking of you and chanting your name in ecstatic friendship. Another example of acute affection of Krishna is given in the 10th canto, 15th chapter, verse 18 of Srimad Bhagavatam. The pasturing ground, Krishna felt a little tired and wanted to take rest. So he lay down on the ground. At that time, many cowherd boys assembled there and with great affection began to sing suitable song so that Krishna would rest very nicely. There
Hare
is a nice
Krishna.
example.
Hare Krishna. We'll ask somebody, please take rest. Yeah. Somebody else can read. Hare Krishna. Somebody can.
Mataji, then I'll continue.
What happened? Other people, you're not there?
They are there, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, I'm here, but I'm having network issue.
Yeah, network issue. Yeah, somebody can read. Take
Yes,
rest.
Mataji. From which paragraph, Mataji?
Yeah, this is a nice example of friendship between Krishna and Arjuna. There is a nice example of friendship between Krishna
Okay,
and
okay.
Arjuna.
There is a nice example of Krishna and Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. When the fighting was going on, Ashwadhama, the son of Dronacharya, unceremoniously attacked Krishna, although according to prevailing rules of chivalry, one's chariot driver should never be attacked by the enemy. Ashwadhama behaved heinously in so many ways that he did not hesitate to attack Krishna's body, although Krishna was acting only as charioteer for Arjuna. When Arjuna saw that Ashwadhama was releasing various kinds of arrows to hurt Krishna, he immediately stood in front of Krishna to intercept all of them. At that time, although Arjuna was being harmed by those arrows, he felt an ecstatic love for Krishna, and the arrows appeared to him like showers of flowers. There is another instance of ecstatic love for Krishna in friendship. Once, when a cowherd boy named Vrishabha was cast from the forest to prepare a garland to be offered to Krishna, the sun reached its zenith, and although the sunshine was hot, Vrishabha felt it to be like the moonshine. That transcendental to the Lord. When Pandavas, they said miserable the Lord. instance of Arjuna's friendship with Krishna was described by Narada. See, so many arrived there, he stopped all his activities and immediately embraced you. This means that even though Arjuna was engaged in learning about the military art, he had not forgotten Krishna for a moment. And as soon as there was an opportunity to see Krishna, Arjuna immediately embraced him. One servant of Krishna named Patri once addressed the Lord who protected the cowherd boys from the Asura demon and the effects of, and you also save them from the fear of fire. But Aghasura, the poison of the lake Kalia and the burning of the forest fire. Why should you not the protect me from the hunger, protect me from the pangs of separation? Once told Krishna, my dear enemy of Kamsa, since you have left us, the heat of separation has become extraordinary, and this heat is felt more severely when we understand that in Baravana, you are being refreshed by the waves of the cooling river known as Bhanutanya. Radharani. Krishna was engaged with Radharani. The cowherd boys, headed by Subala, were feeling great separation, and that was unbearable for them. Another friend addressed Krishna thus, my dear Krishna, O killer of Aghasura, when you left Vrindavana to kill Kamsa in Mathura, cowherd boys became bereft of their four bhutas, the elements earth, water, and the fifth bhuta, the air, was flowing very rapidly within their nostrils. When Krishna went to Mathura to kill King Kamsa, cowherd boys became afflicted by the separation that they almost died. When a person is dead, it is said that he has given up the five elements known as bhutas, as the body again mixes with the five elements from which it was. In this case, although the four elements earth, water, fire, and ether were already gone, the remaining element air was still very prominent and was blowing through the nostrils furiously. In other words, after Krishna left Vrindavana, the cowherd boys were always anxious about what would happen in his fight with King Kamsa. And the friend once informed Krishna, when one of your physicians covering his lotus thrones of sleep became discouraged from entering his eyes and left that place. When there is a lotus flower, the black drones fly to it to collect honey. The eyes of Krishna's friend are compared to the lotus flower and because they were full of tears, black drones of sleep could collect honey in his eyes. So much afflicted, eyes were full of tears and he could not sleep. This is an example of staying up at night because of separation from Krishna. An example of helplessness is described in the following statement. Due to Krishna's departure from Vrindavana to Mathura, Krishna's cowherd boys felt as mentally light as possible. They were like fragments of cotton, lighter than air, and were all floating in the air without any shelter. In other words, the minds of cowherd boys became almost vacant on account of Krishna's separation. Example of impatience was also shown by the cowherd boys when Krishna went to Mathura. Out of the sorrow of separation, all these boys forgot to take care of their cowherd and forget all the melodious songs they used to sing in pasturing ground. At last, they had no desire to live anymore, being separated from Krishna. Krishna's who informed him in Mathura that all the cowherd boys had become just like leafless trees on the top of the hills. They appeared almost naked, being skinny and frail, and did not carry any fruits or flowers. He informed Krishna that all the cowherd boys residing in Vrindavana were as still as the trees at the top of the hill. Sometimes they felt deceased from their separation from Krishna, and being so greatly disappointed, they were aimlessly wandering on the banks of the Yamuna. There is also an example of madness caused by separation from Krishna. When Krishna was absent from Vrindavana, all the cowherd boys became bewildered, and having given up all the kinds of activities, they appeared to be mad and forgot all their regular business. They were sometimes lying down on the ground, sometimes rolling in dust, sometimes laughing, and sometimes running very swiftly. All of these symptoms gave them the appearance of madmen. One friend of Krishna's criticized him by saying, my dear Lord, you have become the king of Mathura after killing Kamsa, and that is very good news for us. But in Vrindavana, all the residents have become blind from their continuous crying over your absence. They are full of only of anxieties and not cheered at all by your becoming the king of Mathura. Sometimes there were also signs of death caused by separation from Krishna. Once Krishna was told, my dear enemy of Kamsa, because of their separation from you, the cowherd boys are suffering too much and they are now lying down in the valleys, breathing heavily. In order to sympathize with the boys' regrettable condition, even the forest friends, the deer, are shedding tears. In the Mathura Kanda chapter of Skanda Purana, there is a description of Krishna and Balarama, surrounded by all cowherd boys, always engaged in taking care of the cows and calves. When Krishna was met by Arjuna at a potter's shop in the city of Drupada Nagara, because of the similarity in bodily features, they made intimate friendship. This is an instance of friendship caused by the attraction of similar bodies. In the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 71st chapter, verse 27, it is stated that when Krishna arrived in the city of Indraprastha, Bhima was so overwhelmed with joy that with the tears in his eyes and a smiling face, he immediately embraced his maternal cousin. Following him were his young brothers Nakula and Sahateva, along with Arjuna, and they were all became so overwhelmed at the seeing Krishna with full satisfaction. They embraced who is known
Hare Krishna, you're not audible.
about becoming so great and embraced Krishna. 10th can it is stated that a severe pen.
Yeah, somebody can read, please.
I'll conclude, Mataji.
Yes.
In the 10th canto, 12th chapter, verse 12 of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that even after undergoing severe penances and austerities and performing the yogic principles, the great mystic yogis can hardly become eligible to achieve the dust of the lotus feet of Krishna. But the same personality of Godhead Krishna is easily available to the vision of the residents of Vrindavana. This means there is no comparison to the great fortune of these devotees. The friendly relationship of the cohort boys with the Krishna is a particular type of the spiritual ecstasy, almost similar to the ecstasy of conjugal love. This ecstasy of loving affairs between the cowherd boys and Krishna is very difficult to explain. Great expert devotees like Srila Rupa Goswami express their astonishment at the inconceivable feelings which are in Krishna and his cowherd boyfriends. This particular type of ecstatic love shared between Krishna and his confidential friends further develops into parental love, and on from it may develop into conjugal love, the most exalted humor or mellow of ecstatic love between Lord Krishna and his devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I think we'll end. Stop here. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, I have a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Mataji, in Nectar of Devotion, we saw, right, Mataji, in that it's described that Balarama and Baladeva are not different, are different, right, Mataji?
No, not different.
But it said that they are different.
Not different. They are the same.
Okay, Mataji.
Elder brother of Lord Krishna, and he has a parental love towards Lord Krishna.
Okay.
Because he wants, don't go to kill the Kaliya demon and all, because that is on his birthday, he wanted to give a bath to him along with his mother.
Okay, Mataji. Hare
Yes.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Tomorrow we'll have some short session for you. Surprise. The beginning of the session. Yeah. Who will say the Narsimati for today?
Mataji, may I?
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahlad Prahlad Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha Shilatankanakalaye Shilatankanakalaye Ito Nirsimha Paratho Nirsimha Ito Nirsimha Paratho Nirsimha Ito Nirsimha Paratho Nishimha Yatho Yatoyami Tato Nisimha Yatho Yatoyami Tato Nishimha Bahir Nishimha Hridaye Nishimha Bahir Nishimha Hridaye Nishimha Narasimhamadhim Sharanang Praptaye Narasimhamadhim Sharanang Praptaye Tava Karakamala Pare Nakam Adbhuta Stringa Dhalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringa Keshavadritam Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Om Jayo Jagadish Hare Tava Kara Kamalavare Nakam Adbhuta Stringa Dhalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringa Keshavadritam Narhari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Nishimhadev 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 Jaya Nishimhadev Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Narahari 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 Jaya Narahari Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavabhyo namo namaha. Thank you, co-host and participant, for active participation. See you all tomorrow at 8 p.m. Hare Krishna.